right, good morning. I'd like to call to order the Cuyahoga County Board of Control meeting for Monday, June 12th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, calling the roll for the Monday, June 12, 2023 Board of Control meeting. It is 11 a.m. We have Councilmember Meredith Turner,
Here.
Councilmember Dale Miller,
Here.
Trevor Meckler serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.,
Here.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever,
Here.
Zoe Tosco serving as an alternate for Chris Roney, County Executive,
Here.
Lisa Rocco serving as an alternate for Michael Chambers, Fiscal Officer and as Chairperson,
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the June 5th meeting? And if so, are there any corrections to be made? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, is there any public comment?
No public comment?
Thank you. All right, contracts and awards.
First item, BC 2023-370, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in award recommendation to Leica Geosystems Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $78,637.10 for purchase of one Leica MS-60R2000 robotic multi-station survey equipment, various accessories, including hardware and software maintenance and support services for the Road and Bridge Division, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Public Works. This first item, we're requesting approval of a purchase order with Leica. This is to replace the County Road and Bridge Division, our survey equipment. The average age is about 20-plus years, so we're looking to replace all of it. The first and second request on this agenda is tied into the same request. This purchase order with Leica, it's being submitted as an exemption. I think 93% of it we're able to procure off the state of Ohio contract. The other 7% or so is not on the state of Ohio contract per the Trade Agreement Act. It cannot be on the state. So to save on soft costs, we're submitting as one purchase order as an exemption. So it's combined into one purchase order.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye. Next.
Next item, BC 2023-371, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Trimble Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $82,462.50 for a state contract purchase of two Trimble R12i GPS receivers, various accessories, including hardware and software maintenance and support services for the Road and Bridge Division, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning again, Tom Pavich, Public Works. This is the second piece that we're submitting. It's with a different vendor. It's with Trimble. This is in addition to the previous vendor to replace the county survey equipment that's aged beyond its use. This $82,000, we're able to procure the whole component off of the state of Ohio contract.
Okay, are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2023-372, Department of Purchasing, on behalf of the County Treasurer's Office, submitting an amendment to a master services agreement with Key Bank National Association for banking and treasury services for the period April 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2024, for additional funds for procurement card program services for various departments in the total amount not to exceed $19,900, effective upon signatures of all parties. For additional funds, Consumer Affairs, $500, Internal Audit, $11,000. For a decrease in funds, the Public Defender in the amount of $3,600. To add two new user departments, Medical Examiner, $10,000, and Department of Equity and Inclusion, $2,000.
Good morning, Paul Porter, Department of Purchasing. This is our quarterly amendment that we do to the contract that includes the P-card program. When departments need to adjust the amounts that are available on their card or, add a new department, we don't do those one at a time because the number of amendments would be too great. We do them on a quarterly basis. So as the agenda notes, multiple departments are impacted by this. There are a couple of dollar amount increases, one decrease, which is just based on lower than anticipated usage of the P card for the public defender department. And two departments are getting a P card that haven't had one before, the medical examiner's office and Department of Equity and Inclusion. Happy to answer any questions. This one's pretty straightforward though.
Okay, no questions. I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor? Aye.
Next item, BC 2023-373, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Integrated Precision Systems Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $21,240.25 for payment of a past due invoice for the purchase of one Bosch Alarm Access Control Panel, 3 card readers, 8 security cameras, 1 keypad, and various equipment needed for installation and programming to the existing surveillance system located on the 9th floor of Tower 2 and the Justice Center complex, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Reimer with the Department of Public Works on behalf of the Department of Information Technology and Department of Public Works. So this item is a component of the central booking project. As board members may recall, part of the project in the initial phases was to relocate Sheriff's Department law enforcement personnel to other spaces in the Justice Center, and this was to stand up their new area on the 9th floor of the former Cleveland Police building, and this was the security technology package that was installed for that build-out for their spaces. Through some significant misunderstanding between the vendor, the Department of Public Works project management team, and then some other assumptions, this got away from us, and it was installed and ordered and put in without proper authorization. Our team thought that it was being charged back to our project. The vendor thought that they had a PO number when we gave them our chargeback codes. So we have unraveled this, and the Department of IT has worked with the vendor to clarify the process in the future, and we have rolled out a notification to all of our project management team of how to properly engage Integrated Precision Systems and the IT department on future procurements. So for this was properly, not properly, but it was fully installed, it is operational and accepted, and requesting approval of this item so we can pay the resulting invoice. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
Am I correct that this is an item that you wanted? It's only the implementation of the procurement where you ran into trouble. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilman, it is very much needed, and in strong collaboration to determine what needed to go in there between Public Works, IT, and the Sheriff's Department. There's law enforcement sensitive material and evidence in that space, and so there was an extreme amount of collaboration as to what to put in there. It was the procurement piece that fell off the coordination.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2023-374, County Prosecutor submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Griffi Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $9,160 for the purchase of various software subscription licenses, 4 DI Pro floating and 4 Lace Carver add-ons for use by the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit for a period of 1 year, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Dave Fratteri with the County Prosecutor's Office, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. These are 4 licenses that we use for, they automate the location and identification of child exploitation material on the devices of our offenders. It's a renewal to allow us to continue to do what we do, so thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second? Second by Trevor McAleer. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2023-375, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Essentra Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $65,300 to plan and facilitate a functional exercise for the Cuyahoga County Emergency Operations Center effective upon signatures of all parties through December 15, 2023, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. And the purpose of this contract is to bring a vendor in to design and facilitate a functional exercise to test communications, resource coordination, and information sharing amongst the various partners that would be involved in an emergency operation activation. As you know, the county writes a lot of plans. This is our opportunity to test those plans, to see what works well, what might need some improvements. As far as this goes, after the exercise is completed, then the vendor will meet with our emergency management team to go over what the issues are, and then they will also give them a written report. And the reason for the RFP exemption is that we actually anticipated this to cost less than $50,000. When we did do an informal request for proposals, we got 9 proposals. Unfortunately, they ranged from $62,000 to $177,000. So the vendor we are recommending is the highest rated proposal. They were the 3rd lowest cost, though.
Okay. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Paul Porter. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item, BC 2023-376, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services recommending an award on RQ 10918 and enter into a contract with Nupp and Watson and Wallman Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $390,400 to develop and execute a countywide opioid awareness and prevention campaign effective upon signatures of all parties for a period of 1 year.
Mary Beth Vaughn again. This was formally bid. We received 5 proposals, and the recommended vendor is going to develop and execute a countywide outreach media campaign regarding the dangers of opioids. The target audience is 18 to 25-year-olds who are high risk and or underserved. And they're going to be focusing, their messaging is going to deal with the awareness of harm, the prevention of abuse, and engaging the community in opioid awareness.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Fuller.
I just have some comments on this, first of all, there isn't any doubt about the need for more prevention-oriented efforts regarding the opiate situation. But number one, I think the size and scale of this program is not nearly enough to have the kind of impact that we're looking for, and I'm gonna be watching this very closely, and when it comes up after a year, I think we're gonna really need to think about a much larger program than this. The second thing is that a good amount of this money is allocated to helping people who are already addicted reduce the risks involved, which is a valuable piece. But I think that we need to do a whole lot more to try to prevent people from being addicted in the first place, and I think this is going to be this is going to involve working with people younger than 18. I think it's going to need to start in the very early double digits, in that range, 10 or 11 and up. So, and the third thing is that and I think there's a little bit of it in this contract, but I think there has to be a lot more of in the field grassroots organizing, working with block clubs, faith-based community, neighborhood organizations, and such things. I forget what the exact number is, but the average person gets 100,000 or some ridiculous number of media messages of various kinds per day, and it just takes an awful lot to penetrate using a media approach. And so these are my thoughts. I'm happy to vote for this morning as a meaningful and positive start, but I think there's a lot more that we're going to have to do.
Okay, is there any other comments or questions? Mr. McAleer?
Good morning, Mary Beth. I think everyone here has heard from one of the vendors that were not selected, which was, I believe, significantly higher than this proposal. Did that vendor submit an official protest, or like what other than sending the letter and reaching out to council members, was there any action taken by that vendor that did not get recommended?
That's the only letter that I'm aware of.
Okay, so there wasn't.
I'm looking at Paul to see if he received.
Correct. I think that was the only formal communication that came, and, you know, that communication does not obligate us not to move forward with this award recommendation. As Mary Beth stated, you know, all the proposals were evaluated, and the one that they're recommending was the highest scored, correct?
And they were there were two lower bids, right? But they scored not as high as.
That is correct.
On that point, I would just share that I've had a fair amount of contact with the alternative vendor, and he clearly suggested that he felt that a formal protest would be counterproductive, and that his desire was to engage in a positive and longer-term conversation as to how to make a meaningful difference in this area. And the remarks that I made earlier partially flow from that conversation, but it also reflects things that I've been working on and felt strongly about for a long time. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Paul Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, BC 2023-375, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a revenue-generating agreement with Case Western Reserve University Division of Public Safety in the anticipated amount of $58,800 for the use of 4 additional Motorola next-generation 911 workstations located at the Public Safety Answering Points Communications Center, 1689 East 115th Street, Cleveland, effective upon signatures of all parties through March 10, 2025, and submitting a revenue-generating agreement with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn again. As Cheryl has stated, this is a revenue-generating agreement. What this allows is Case Western Reserve's Police Department to actually have 4 workstations, our emergency 911 workstations at their police department. Right now, when an emergency call is transferred to them, all they get is the call. They don't get any other identifying information that may have been gathered, including the location of where the call is coming from. So this serves Case Western's concerns. It gives them better data. It serves an obvious public safety concern since it's in the city, in Cuyahoga County. And the amount that they are paying us will more than adequately reimburse us for any expenses that we incur, allowing them this access, including invoicing them for that use.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Next item,
Thank
BC.
you.
Next item, BC 2023-378, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with Ohio Attorney General, care of Treasurer State of Ohio, Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation, and the amount not to exceed $230,700 for access to the National Web Check Program for criminal background checks for various departments for the period June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2026.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. The Ohio Attorney General's Office Bureau of Criminal Investigations processes all BCI and FBI fingerprints for the state of Ohio, which is inclusive of Cuyahoga County. We use the background checks for potential new hires within HHS and additionally with our Child Support Enforcement Agency. We also use it for background checks for our work experience participants whose job sites require FBI and/or BCI checks for their prospective employees.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Next item, BC 2023-379, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an award and enter into a contract with Playhouse Square Hotel LLC, DBA Crown Plaza Cleveland at Playhouse Square, and the amount not to exceed $15,190 for a room rental, catering, and audiovisual services in connection with the annual Fatherhood Conference to be held on June 16, 2023.
Good morning again. Again, this is a contract with Crown Plaza to host our 17th annual Fatherhood Conference. We did issue an informal bid on April 20th, and it closed April 27th. We did receive 5 bids. Crown Plaza was the lowest and best bid, so we went with Crown Plaza. Al Grimes is here from the Fatherhood Initiative, who could answer any specific questions related to the conference itself.
Okay, are there any questions?
I just wanted to add a comment, and I just
Absolutely.
wanted to emphasize what Marco said. This is our 17th annual Fatherhood Conference that's been funded by the community, primarily St. Luke's Foundation and Dollar Bank. Since the inception of the Fatherhood Initiative, we've only had 2 years where someone hasn't fought at the Fatherhood Conference, and those were the 2 opioid years. Mm-hmm. So I'm really proud of the fact that we've been able to maintain this conference throughout the last 17 years, and I want to thank the community partners who've always supported. It'll be informal workshops, a town hall meeting, an awards luncheon, and a resource fair with about 60 organizations. So it's become an annual event for the community that I think a lot of people get a lot of value of. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments?
Yeah, I just have a comment. Been proud to support this initiative over the years, and I'm so glad you changed venues because we were on top of each other last year, which is a testament to the, everyone wants to be there, the programs that you provide. So best wishes to you in that program.
Thank you.
Any additional comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2023-380, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Group Plan Commission in the amount not to exceed $6,968 for outdoor space rental for Family Fun Day held on the Gunn Foundation's Green on Public Square on August 1st, 2023, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Again, this is a contract with the Group Plan Commission. This is the organization that runs Public Square. We hosted our Family Fun Day event there last year after a couple-year hiatus. It's a central location with ease of accessibility. The Family Fun Day is to provide for fun activities, resources from our county agencies and partners, and backpacks with school supplies to our families.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Paul Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, item BC 2023-381, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Speak Right LLC in the amount not to exceed $266,757 for setup and implementation of software and voice-to-document transcription services to support caseworkers' recruitment and retention in connection with the Workforce Funding Supports Initiative, effective upon signature of the county executive through December 31st, 2023, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
This is a new contract and a new service with Speak Right. Speak Right will provide quality voice document transcription services for Children and Family Services workers. Basically, the staff will upload recordings of notes or meeting minutes or other job-related recordings into a secure website, and they will have those notes transcribed. Speak Right was written into a grant application we received from the Public Children's Serving Systems Association of Ohio. This is a grant to help us recruit and retain staff. Majority of the funding from this grant went to for new workstations at JNEDNA, and the remainder is for this service.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor? Aye.
Next, item BC 2023-382, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Stella Maris Incorporated for temporary housing for homeless single adult males in Cuyahoga County with substance abuse issues for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $265,000.
Good morning, Erin Reardon, Office of Homeless Services. This is an amendment to our contract with Stella Maris to provide services for men who are experiencing substance abuse issues.
Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Say. All in favor? Aye.
Next, item BC 2023-383, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with YWCA of Greater Cleveland for the A Place for Me initiative to prevent youth homelessness in connection with alternative housing and related services and support for COVID recovery for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $227,896.
So Erin Reardon, Office of Homeless Services. This is an amendment to our contract with A Place for Me. We had initially funded them for services only. We found out from the provider that they actually had some additional staffing expenses due to being a partner of ours in the Youth Homelessness Development Program that we were approved to receive. That required extensive youth collaboration and extensive participation to create a coordinated community plan to end youth homelessness. So they didn't have sufficient staffing to cover this expense as well. So we are adding that to this contract.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
I just have a question because I don't know.
Councilwoman?
So in the previous piece of legislation, the funding source was the levy. Why are we using ARPA funds for this expenditure?
The previous was ARPA as well.
That was levy.
Oh, that was, okay. So what was your question? Why are we not using levy?
Yeah, I'm just still trying to understand where we spend.
Oh, okay.
money.
Sorry, I was confused. So we have a finite amount of levy available, and we actually had a little bit of additional ARPA money available. So that's why we chose to use this one. But yeah, our levy is like allocated down to the penny pretty much.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
No. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor? Aye.
Next item is an exemption. First item, BC 2023-384, Department of Public Works requesting an alternative procurement process, which will result in the release of 3 requests for qualifications for parts and supplies for the Sanitary Engineering Division, parts and supplies for the Facilities Division, parts and supplies for the Road and Bridge Division, which will result in recommendations to various providers to join the following master contracts: RQ 11049 for various maintenance, repair, and operation supplies for the Sanitary Engineering Division for a period of 2 years effective January 1st, 2023. On RQ 11080 for various maintenance, repair, and operation supplies for the Facilities Division for a period of 2 years effective January 1st, 2023. On RQ 1164 for various maintenance, repair, and operation supplies for the Road and Bridge Division for a period of 2 years effective March 14, 2023.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This item, we're requesting an alternative procurement that will allow Public Works to release 3 additional RFQs. Traditional RFQs usually result in contract awards to vendors. These RFQs are going to result in invitations for additional vendors to be added to our master contracts for our 3 big divisions: facilities, sanitary, road and bridge. We've got different commodity gaps within those RFQs, within those contracts right now. We're just looking to fill those in with additional vendors.
Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2023-385, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an alternate procurement process and exemption from aggregation for reimbursement of eligible overtime and backfill expenses to various communities in the total amount not to exceed $150,000 for specialized grant-funded training and exercise events for the period July 23rd, 2023 through July 22nd, 2028.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn again. And in this case, what we're asking to do is to continue with an alternate procurement that we currently have in effect. It's been operating for the last 5 years and ends on July 22nd. Prior to the alternative procurement, when a city were to participate in a grant-funded training exercise and they were eligible for backfill or overtime reimbursement, those were processed as contracts. So once the event was occurred, then our law department would create a contract, and then it would go through the whole contracting and review process with us, with the city, and with our funder, Ohio EMA. The bottom line is that process usually resulted in it taking almost 12 months, and sometimes more than 12 months, before the city got their reimbursement. The alternate procurement allows us to take and do those reimbursements via a purchase order. And having had this process in place for the last 5 years, we found it to be very successful. In fact, I went back and looked at the 2022 exercises, and the vast majority of communities were reimbursed within 3 months. All of them were reimbursed within 4 months, and that included getting our money back from Ohio EMA. And the other added bonus to this is the quicker we can resolve these reimbursements, we know how much money is available to reallocate back for other projects. And since we've adopted this, our utilization of our Homeland Security contracts have exceeded 99%.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Say. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda items BC 2023-386 through BC 2023-387.
We'll take a moment to review. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Is there any other business?
No other business?
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
No public comment?
Thank you. Then I will make a motion to adjourn today's meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor?
Aye. Want to stay here for a while.